What's up, everybody? Welcome to this new version of this new show that I'm trying out. So, something that's I've been really passionate about, and something I care a lot about is obviously addiction. But the main thing is, what are the types of things that are kind of coming into the stratosphere that are causing the most problems? Obviously, if you go back for about the last 5 to 10 years, fentanyl would be your number one answer. But unfortunately, it seems like more and more and more crazy shit continues to get bigger and bigger as the years go by. So, what I want to do is I kind of want to do one a month, and I'm going to break down new drugs, what they're doing to people, how they're affecting people, how quick they're spreading. I'm just going to pretty much do my best to break it all down for you. So, without further ado, I want to talk to y'all today about Tranq dope. So, I don't know if y'all really know the street name or whatever, but Tranq dope, I'm just going to break it down for y'all. So, as early back as 2006, there's been one drug above all others that has dealt more damage to the streets of Philadelphia than all others combined. Now, this drug is all over the place as far as the Northeast goes, but Philadelphia has taken a huge hit when it comes to this. It's widespread in the city. I don't know if any of y'all know what K&A is, Kensington and Allegheny. My best friend's from there. He's told me the horror stories. It's fucked up. But, basically it's a deadly mixture of drugs that leaves the user in a zombie-like state, destroying their sense of being and slowly eating away at their bodies. It's twice as strong as fentanyl, and it's 3 times as scary due to the fact that normal opioid blockers, so your naloxone, Narcan, all that shit, it doesn't work on this drug because this drug is not an opiate. The word I would choose to best describe this crazy shit is dangerous. That's it. Dude, it's here, it's cheaply manufactured, and it's slowly creeping its way through the Northeast. Today, again, I'm talking about Tranq. So part 2, what the fuck is Tranq? So I wrote a little something. I'm going to kind of use it to break down whatever. I'm going to go off on my own type of tangents, whatever. But this is the gist of it. So I'm sure most of you have heard of the opioid fentanyl, obviously. The drug that, according to the CDC, took the lives of 83,140 people in the year of 2023. So now, according to the statistics for 2024, the number of overdose deaths has surprisingly decreased, with the number of deaths averaging around 54,000. 54,743 is the exact number. So even though the these numbers, they're going down, it does not mean that the opioid epidemic is over. It doesn't mean that things are really necessarily getting better. That's not what it means. Okay, so, the main problem is suppliers and dealers are always looking for a shortcut to cut prices for themselves and increase sales. So just like they used fentanyl originally as a cut to stretch heroin and increase inventory, xylazine, now keep this in mind, xylazine, I'm sure a lot of you have heard of it, but this is the second half of this deadly concoction. So it's mixed with fentanyl, and it's creating one of, if not the most dangerous drugs to ever hit the market. Now the question is, what is xylazine? What is its pharmaceutical purpose? What effects does it have on the people who use it? And, why is it seeping its way through the Northeast like it is? Well, I'm going to get into all of that. But first, I need to tell y'all where it came from, and big surprise here, it's a big fucking pharmaceutical company, one of these evil motherfuckers. So, so xylazine was developed in the year 1962 by the German pharmaceutical company Bayer. Now, I'm sure a lot of y'all have heard of Bayer. So, xylazine was originally distributed as a veterinary anesthetic for large animals such as cattle and horses. Emphasis on cattle and horses, because xylazine has never been approved for human consumption in any country due to the severe side effects that it has on the human body. And I promise you, I will get into the side effects that, are really, it's fucking, it's rough. But we're going to get into it. So xylazine first became readily available for purchase in the late 1960s under such brand names as, forgive me, I know I'm going to fuck this up, but Rompun and Anaced. I'm not sure if I said those right, but this was the first way these were the first names you could purchase it under. So xylazine first made its appearance in the illicit drug market in the early 2000s. So during this time in Puerto Rico, traffickers began mixing xylazine with their heroin to make a more potent drug. And I think they accomplished that. So the locals, it really fucked Puerto Rico up, and we're going to get into that a little bit, and I'm not going to touch on it too much, but, traffickers, whatever. So what the people in Puerto Rico call this is anesthesia de caballo, or horse anesthetic. So from October to November 2005 and March through April 2006, there were 2 separate syringe studies done across 29 sites in 11 different municipalities of Puerto Rico. So I'm not going to sit here and act like I know what the fuck a syringe study is, but I'm going to give you what I think it is. I didn't look it up, so my best understanding is they probably go find dirty needles that they've picked up off the ground or they've found in these municipalities, and they've tested them, and that, they use it to see how much of a percentage of the drug-using community is using this drug xylazine. So, officials of the study found the drug xylazine present and considered the substance to be widespread. I think we kind of touched on that already. Now, keep in mind, this is the early 2000s. So this has not yet made its way to the U.S., but, it's running rampant in fucking Puerto Rico. So, okay, so the year 2012, another study was conducted. This time, a study on drug users in Puerto Rico found that 65% of heroin in Puerto Rico had xylazine in it. So, that's fucking huge. So, it's a lot, dude. It really is. So, let's see. Okay, so, after that, before we get to how it really got to the U.S. and, how it got to Philadelphia, how it got a grasp of Philadelphia so quickly and so fast, whatever, I want to tell y'all what this does to people. So I'm going to put some pictures up while I'm telling you this, and, hopefully I don't get censored or whatever the fuck happens on YouTube, but I want to put these pictures up here because I think it's so important for people to see what the fuck is actually going on with this. So anyways, I think it's important. When I was like 16, 17, there was this, I don't know if y'all ever watched the show World's Most Dangerous Drugs, and it's about methamphetamine and heroin and all this shit, and they go film people getting high or whatever, but one that really caught my attention, and it kind of was spreading around my group of friends. Everyone was watching this documentary on this drug called crocodile, and, I'm not going to go into the chemical compounds of this. I have no fucking clue what they are. I'm not going to go into it. But the reason I bring that up is because the reason it was being passed around and everybody was watching this video is because what this drug was doing to people's skin. And, it was eating these people's skin from the inside out. So, you could see some of these people's bones. And, a lot of this can transfer into this xylazine shit because it looks the same, dude. I'm a big TikTok guy. I like going on TikTok, and something that I've watched a lot of is the Kensington, Allegheny, Philadelphia videos. And they're rough, dude. They're rough. These people are getting scabs all over their skin. it's rough. Rashes, open sores. So let's get into it. Okay, so the immediate effects. So this is in the first 5 to 30 minutes of you taking this drug. So you're going to go into an extremely heavy blackout level sedation, much stronger than regular fentanyl or heroin alone. People say things like it hits you like a sledgehammer, you're nodding so hard you fall over. 1 second you're standing, the next second you're on the ground and don't remember getting there. And I mean, I had some similar experiences with fentanyl myself, but I mean, apparently this is 2 times that. So, I personally, when I was getting high, I was never the type of person that really enjoyed blackout level sedation. That just sounds fucking scary and crazy, but apparently this is what it does to you. So, it hits you like a sledgehammer. So, it feels like your whole body weighs 1,000 pounds. Limbs become impossible to move. So, you do this drug, you're on this street where there's people that, definitely don't have your best interest. And I'm talking about Kensington and Allegheny. They don't have your best interest at heart. They don't give a shit about you. They will probably steal your stuff. You're vulnerable. And, you're not going to be able to take care of yourself in any way possible if your body weighs 1,000 pounds and your limbs become impossible to move. That sounds fucking horrific. I mean, it just sounds fucking crazy, dude. So you got a very prolonged nod. Now, people say unconscious or semi-conscious for hours. 2 to 8 hours is common. That is fucking crazy. So, something I can speak on, for myself, I used to do fentanyl. And I remember, when the big switch came from heroin to fentanyl, what was crazy about it was, everybody wanted fentanyl because it was stronger or whatever. But it came to a point where you couldn't find heroin anymore because everybody was doing fentanyl. It was cheaper for the people to produce, whatever. But the reason I bring this up is because I remember you used to be able to do some heroin and you would be straight for 3-4 hours, whatever. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying you're nodding for that whole amount of time, but I'm saying that you're not going to get sick for that amount of time. And, when fentanyl came around, it felt like I was sick every fucking 45 minutes. Honestly, it felt like I was, So 2 to 8 hours is common. That's fucking crazy, dude. It's pretty fucking wild. Way longer with fentanyl alone. Okay, breathing slows dramatically. Many overdoses happen because the person literally stops breathing in their sleep-like state. So this is important to me because, we talked about how, if you got naloxone or you got Narcan on you, it's not going to help you from this drug because it's not an opioid. So this is interesting because it's literally saying that, this drug isn't killing you because it's, causing a normal opioid overdose. What it's doing is it's legitimately making you stop breathe. So, this is scary shit. And, this is important for everybody to know. The high part, if they stay conscious long enough to feel it. That's in parentheses. Okay, so almost no euphoria compared to regular opioids. Most users say the pleasant part is very weak or missing entirely. Okay, instead, it's mostly heavy sedation, disassociation, and a dead or zombie feeling. This is where the street nickname comes from. Zombie dope or something like that. Nothing about it sounds good at all. I mean, no euphoria. I mean, I guess that was a great part of getting high or whatever, So, why would you want to, I don't, okay. Some describe it as heroin times 10, but without the good feeling. So, again, this just sounds like the worst fucking drug imaginable. I don't understand why anyone would want to do this, but, we're going to get into it in a little bit. about how some people are doing this drug and they don't even know it's in there. But I'm a recovering drug addict. I know how drug addicts work, and I'm not gonna say you know what you're taking because you don't, but you get a keen to something, and that's what you like. So I will say that. Okay, so severe anxiety, restlessness, and agitation. So now this doesn't make any sense. How do you get restlessness, but you can't feel your legs or your limbs? That I don't know. Okay, so severe anxiety, I can imagine. Restlessness and agitation, but I mean, if you're in full fucking blown zombie mode, I'm not really sure why any of this would affect you. But okay, the opposite of normal opioid afterglow. Okay, that's an interesting word. Okay, extreme physical discomfort, muscle stiffness, inability to stand or walk straight for a while, walking like a zombie. Now, I'm sure like some of y'all have seen the fucked up videos of jumping to a Jet 2 holiday, and it's like somebody fucking nodding out on the street, throwing shit, whatever. You know what I mean? So, like, this is speaking for, why you're seeing people do this stuff. I mean, I'm sure some of it has to do with mental health issues and, all that, but, this is speaking to it. Intense cravings to redose because the high was so short on pleasure and so long on blackout. Yeah. Okay. It just sounds terrible. Okay. Tranq dope, a street term for dangerous combination of the veterinary tranquilizer xylazine, often called tranq, mixed with. Okay, I'm not going to go into all this. Okay, but what I am going to go into is how this kind of started, getting its way into the United States, and how it's in Philly and how all that's going about. Okay, so by 2006, it had spread to the mainland United States, with the first documented casings appearing in Philadelphia, where it became notorious as Philly dope or Tranq dope due to its prevalence in the local illicit supply. The trend gained traction in Philadelphia amid the escalating opioid crisis, where xylazine was added to fentanyl to prolong the high, reduce production costs, and delay withdrawal symptoms. I think we kind of went into all of this. Okay, though it also introduced severe risk like skin ulcers, respiratory depression, and resistance to naloxone. We went over that as well. Detections in overdose deaths rose sharply from 2% in 2010 to over 30% by 2019. Wow. By the late 2010s, around 2018, 2019, it was flagged as a growing concern in cities like Philadelphia and Connecticut, with the U.S. DEA issuing widespread alerts in 2022 and the White House declaring it an emerging threat in 2023. Today, it's widespread across at least 36 U.S. states, often contaminating fentanyl supplies without users' knowledge. Damn. So, it's all right there. And I'll tell you, from my personal experience, before I went on my journey of getting clean and before I made that decision, I was homeless. And I want to say this is like 2020, homeless in Asheville, North Carolina. And I remember hearing about this stuff. And, I liked fentanyl. And that was it. I wasn't really into fake fentanyl. I really wasn't into anything other than real fentanyl. So I wasn't ever really introduced to it, but I was hearing about it, and it was where I was at, and that's Asheville, North Carolina. So I'm sure some people that listen to this have no fucking clue where that's at, and it would be completely understandable. So that's just to show you that it's getting to these rural areas. It's getting to these areas that are less populated. And it's inevitable. It's bound to happen. And, the most dangerous part about this drug is that there's no way to bring you back from it if you overdo it. So, I mean, for the addicts that are out there, that are, they haven't really gotten to the point where they're ready to get clean, it's understandable. I get it. But, I mean, and I know it's a lot to do, but test your fucking dope, dude. If you're getting high, I'm by no means encouraging it. What I would love to encourage is love to encourage people to get the help that they need. I would love to encourage people to go and try and get a second chance at life. It's a beautiful thing. It's great. I am highly supportive of that. But if you are getting high and you're not ready to stop, which I understand that too, test your fucking dope, man, because nothing about this shit has sounded good at all. Okay, so last part I want to get into before I sign off on this is I want to tell you about, we talked about the physical effects it has as far as like your respiratory, your mental, as far as your anxiety, your depression, you turn into a zombie, so what I do want to talk about is I want to talk about these ulcers that people are getting on their body, and I haven't written anything for this, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna, okay, here we go. So skin and soft tissue wounds, often called Tranq burn or Tranq sores. Okay, so they start as blisters, small purple spots or pinpoint holes, and progress to deep, necrotic, dead tissue, ulcers, abscesses, and open sores. They can tunnel under the skin from thick scabs, spread quickly, and appear anywhere on the body, not just at injection sites. In severe cases, they lead to tissue death or necrosis, infections, and amputations. Dude, please test your fucking dope if you're getting high. This is awful. I mean, it's awful, dude. Okay, possible causes include xylozine's vasocon. Okay, I'm gonna retry that. Vasoconstrictive effects, reducing blood flow to tissues, acidic drug mixtures damaging veins, frequent missed shots, or skin popping due to collapsed veins, and direct cell killing toxic. Okay, dude, if you're skin popping, first of all, just start smoking it, dude. That is fucked. Like, this is just. And direct cell killing toxicity from xylazine. So, like, to rewind, like, this is not a drug that is meant for humans. This is a drug for animals, for fucking horses and cows, not for humans. So you don't put drugs in your body that are not for humans, people. And really, honestly, I would hope that nobody puts drugs in their body at all, Okay. We went into all this stuff. This is I wanted to do this, and I'm going to continue to do this because I want to update. Okay, so let me get myself comfortable for this one. Okay, so the reason why I'm doing this is because I have the ability now where I'm at with my podcast that I do. It's not huge, whatever, but I have reach enough to help people that are in the recovery community. And what I mean by that is giving them an opportunity to tell their stories, talk about what they've been through, where they're at now, how they got there. And with that, I feel like I bring help to, people that have already helped themselves enough to get a substantial amount of clean time. But what I'm doing this for is to educate people to the best of my ability on what they can do to recognize so that it can be prevented. If you are getting high, you can, maybe find solutions to figure out what it is exactly that you're putting in your body. Because, it says clear as day that, fuck the whatever Grok said or Chat GPT said. More importantly, I can speak from like actual experience because I can tell you firsthand, I didn't give a fuck about what I was putting in my body at all. I didn't care what it was, as long as it's fentanyl. All right, you know what I mean. I'm gonna load that up and I'm gonna shoot it. You know what I mean. That's as far as my research went on whatever the fuck I was putting in my body. So I didn't care. Like I really didn't care. So, you know, I'm gonna continue to do these. I'm gonna talk about different drugs. I'm going to try to give my best piece of advice to those of y'all that are, maybe in a dark place, whatever. Hit me up. Let's talk. If you have any suggestions on what you might want to hear about next, let me know. And I will do my best to bring it to y'all's attention and bring these fucked up things to the forefront because this shit's not okay, man. At the end of the day, we're all humans. We might not all have the same circumstances and we might not be in the same places as each other. But we're all human beings. We're all on this rock. We all gotta live here together. I mean, let's try to clean this shit up, man. I mean, this is fucked up. For real. So, I got a little thing that I say at the end of my podcast. And by the way, if you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe. It means the absolute world to me. Like personally, this is something I'm really passionate about. I would love to do it more. And, this is important stuff that you're not going to hear on the news. They're not going to tell you about this stuff. This is just coming from me. So, this is what I got for you. But like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed. Check out the channel. We do new podcasts 1 every 2 weeks where I interview recovering addicts and get their story, insight, whatever the jobs they're working. A lot of times I interview people that are actually working in the community, the recovery field, which is important to me. I really like talking to those types of people, and, I would love to continue to do this. Thanks, everybody, and, I got something that I say at the end of my podcast, and that is, if you or somebody is struggling with addiction or anything that is bringing them down in this world, don't be afraid to ask for help. And my insight to the addict that is still out there struggling, don't be afraid to take suggestions and listen.